Good afternoon, Year 4s, and welcome to our art lesson for today. So the learning objective is to sketch textiles from different cultures. And the big question is, do all cultures weave the same? And our steps to success are, I can recall the vocabulary, weaving and textiles. I can explain what culture means. I have a good understanding of weaving in different cultures and can evaluate it. I can sketch different textiles that show weaving. Okay, so we'll first do our just checking grid. So if you've got a piece of paper, you can draw a small grid in your books and answer the following questions. So last week, we learned about the Bauhaus movement. What is that? Last unit, how is wallpaper made today? Last term, true or false? William Morris included nature in his designs. And then last year in year 3, who is Picasso? Okay, so have a go at those answers. Okay, well done. So the Bauhaus movement was designs based on geometric patterns. So we said the geometric last week was lots of different shapes. Last unit, how is wallpaper made today? So today, wallpaper is made in a factory with a machine. It involves printing of different layers to create a picture. But true or false? It was true. William Morris included lots of different nature items in his work, such as leaves and plants and animals. And then who is Picasso? You might not have done this last year because of lockdown, but Picasso was a famous artist who founded Cubism, which is a type of painting where you paint an object or a person from different angles and use lots of geometric shapes. Okay. So again, our big question is, do all cultures weave the same items? So let's think about that question and let's have a look at what culture means. So a culture is the idea or customs and social behavior of a particular people in society. So you've got lots of different cultures around the world. And then textiles, what we did last week. So materials made of fibers or yarns. Weaving was a craft or action of forming fabric by interlacing threads. So here we had a picture of this person weaving threads going over, under with different colors. And we learned about Günter Stolze and how she had influence on weaving. And then to sketch is a drawing using pencil. And we will be doing some sketching today. So just to refresh our memory, who was Günter Stolze? So draw a mind map in your book and think about how many things you learned last week about her and see if you can write them down. So pause the video and have a go at that. Okay, well done. So she taught weaving and maths. She had a company called S&H Fabrics. Her weaving was done by hand and was her own design. So she designed her own weaves. And here were some examples that we looked at last week. She didn't want weaving to be seen as only women's work. And she went to the Bauhaus school. So obviously you might have had some different ones as well, but these are the ones that I had come up with. Okay, so before we look at different cultures of weaving, we just got a definition of what a loom is, because this comes up in a few cultures. So a loom is a device used to weave cloth and tapestry. The basic purpose of any loom is to hold the threads under tension to help the interweaving of the threads. So here you can see there are 3 people weaving, and the loom, you can see across here, is helping keep all those threads nice and tight. That is what tension means. Because if they were all loose, the entire weave would fall apart. So that is what a loom is. It helps keep those threads nice and tight so that you can weave them. Okay, so the first culture we're going to look at is the Egyptian culture. So the Egyptians still live today, but they were found many thousands of years ago. And they used to weave as well. And we know that they weaved because this picture was found inside an Egyptian tomb. And you can see over here, there are two people weaving. So we know that Egyptians would have also woven in their time. So baskets that they weaved were very light and unbreakable, and they served as versatile storage and transportation containers for food and other goods. So they would have put food in the baskets and other items to transport, or as a tool for moving earth during construction processes. They might have put some earth in here to move it along, because there was no such thing as plastic buckets in those days. Flat platted mats provided flooring and roofing in mud brick homes, and also served as wrapping material among numerous other use. Egyptians also made clothing such as sandals, furniture, and even river rafts out of reed. So here are three items that Egyptians would have woven. So this would be like a bag that they might have woven. This would be an example of a basket. And this is an example of Egyptian socks that was found in Egypt. And that would have been woven as well. So those are just three examples of what the Egyptians would have weaved. And there's just a bigger picture. So if you want to sketch this, you can come back to this slide and have a look at one of these three. Okay, the next culture we're going to look at is the African culture. So weaving has formed an integral, which is an important part of African cultures for thousands of years. From baskets and bags to fishing nets and furniture, the art of weaving has transformed communities, and these skills are passed down from generation to generation. So it's very time consuming, it takes a lot of time, and it's complex, which is complicated. Each woven item has a story to tell of long-standing African traditions, a timeless skill traditionally perfected by women. So women were the main weavers in the African culture. Using available local resources, such as reeds, grass, raffia, or palm fibers, African tribes have been developing this art form with styles and patterns and shapes unique to each person's community, location, culture, and needs. So here you can see some women weaving some baskets, and these would be the finished product. So we've got some more baskets, some flat baskets, some rounded ones. They also would have weaved some materials, and here's an example of a woven chair as well. Okay, and then the last culture we're going to look at is the ancient Greek culture. So that we also know that the ancient Greeks would have woven, because on this ancient Greek pot, we can see an example of two people weaving, and this is evidence to show that they would have woven as well. So weaving was an important part for the vast majority of women in ancient Greece. So it was also a woman's job to weave in ancient Greek as well as in African cultures. So both were a major part of the labor that the typical woman was expected to perform. So that's like their job that they had to do. The several forms of evidence surviving from the period support this conclusion. So you can see that all of these pictures are showing women who are weaving. And some of the things that they would have made would be blankets or table linen, carpets, or other textiles. So we can see that most cultures had women weaving. So maybe that is why Gunther Stolze didn't want it to only be seen as a woman's job or a woman's tradition. Okay, so from those three cultures, we've got lots of different types of weaves. So what we're going to do is we've got 3 different challenges. Everybody's going to sketch, but if you choose the bronze challenge, you will just sketch one object from one of the cultures. So if you'd like to sketch something from the African culture, you will go back to that slide and you could choose to sketch those 2 green baskets, or you could choose to just sketch the chair. Or if you'd like to sketch something from the Greek culture, you could choose one of these pictures over here. So that's the bronze challenge. If you choose silver, you choose a weaving technique or object made from all three cultures. So you'll choose one from the African, one from the Greek, and one from the Egyptian. And then you're going to write a small paragraph to compare the different weaves. So when you're comparing them, you could look at the size. So for example, this one is rounded. It's a basket, and maybe you'd look at the Egyptian one, and you can see that this basket is also round, but it's got a more open top than the African one, which is a closed top in this case. You can also look at the colors when you're comparing it as well. There's lots of the different things you can write about. And then if you choose the gold challenge, you will also sketch from all three cultures and write a paragraph. But then as an extra challenge, you can go and research another culture that used weaving and then sketch something from that culture as well and then compare it. Okay, so you're going to go back to the part of the video that you're going to sketch. And remember, sketching is using pencil. If you only have a pen, that's fine, but try and find a pencil. And it is just some light sketching of the object. So don't press too hard on your pencil in the beginning. Make light sketches, and then afterwards you can go a bit darker. If you'd like to YouTube some videos on how to sketch, you can also do that as well. And then when you're finished, if you'd like to do the raw, you can say, what is your favorite weave and why? So which one of these objects was your favorite looking object and why? So enjoy art and have a lovely afternoon.